Greetings and welcome to another Pokémon Horizons The Series anime episode preview discussion. This time I'm talking about the preview for episode 81, so let's get to it. In this episode, Liko and company will apparently finally find Lucius's Entei, the hero Entei, within Paldea's Great Crater. Now I say apparently because while they do say in the preview that it's Entei, that it really was here in Area 0 and that it's resonating with Pagogo, meaning that it is without a doubt the Entei from the 6 heroes, it's also clear that what they will encounter is not an Entei, but a Gouging Fire instead. Which yeah, is closely related to Entei, but they are obviously not the same thing. Something that is clear at a glance. However, seeing that Liko and company know very little about Paradox Pokémon, it's possible that they will assume that just because Gouging Fire looks like Entei, they are one and the same. This is just a bigger, more monstrous and spikier Entei. Much like Roy said that Sandy Shocks is a Magneton with black hair, and the Coral said that Screamtail is a big Oni Jigglypuff in the previous episode. Their lack of knowledge on the subject of Paradox Pokémon makes them simply go with what they do know about. So if it looks like a blank, it must be a blank. Just insert key distinguishing features here. This is a natural response. After all, when faced with the unknown, our first response is to use what is known as basis to draw comparisons in order to identify the enigma before us. Though granted, Briar did tell them about the strange Pokemon depicted in the Scarlet Book that appears to be closely related to Entei. So they should know that this is not strictly speaking an Entei, especially since they do know that Paradox Pokemon are a thing and that they come in ancient and future forms. Though to be fair, they don't know that these ancient and future forms are in fact ancient and future versions of existing Pokemon. In any case, I'm curious to see just what kind of reaction they will have when they see Gouging Fire. Of course, regardless of what they make of it, the fact remains that it is Lucius's Entei and they will have to battle it in order to get it to join them. This leads us to two very important questions we must address. First, is this really Lucius's Entei? And the second, will Liko and company be able to defeat it? The answer to the first question is yes. The preview confirms it. So the better question is then, why is Lucius's Entei a Gouging Fire now when it clearly was a normal Entei back when Lucius was still around? Well, I can think of three possibilities. First, like I said in my most recent special preview discussion, Lucius's Entei might have something akin to Groudon and Kyogre's primal reversion, which is to say that it has the ability to revert into its ancient self or form. Second, maybe being in Area 0 for a prolonged period of time, or a strange phenomenon within it, like say something related to the time machine built by Professor Sada or Professor Turo depending on which Generation 9 game you play, made Entei revert into said ancient self or form. Finally, maybe Terapagos is to blame, since it does have the ability to summon things, including Pokemon, from different points in time. Maybe Pagogo resonating with Entei in Area 0 of all places leads to Gouging Fire. Perhaps temporarily, pun intended, as in only during this battle. Once the battle is settled, it will return to normal. Now it's worth mentioning that the footage captured by the camera in Area 0 clearly shows an Entei, not a Gouging Fire, meaning that it was still a normal Entei until just recently. Whether it will transform in this episode or it did so off screen not too long ago remains to be seen. I'm very curious to see just what will lead to the appearance of Gouging Fire. Now, speaking of the battle, we still have to address the question of who will win. Well, considering that Liko and company already battled an Entei and it didn't work out so well, like not only were they unable to win, but they couldn't even tie with it like they did with Kleavor, and Gouging Fire is ever so slightly stronger than its descendant, I dare say that Liko and company cannot win, unless they throw everything they have at it. Which is to say, in addition to Cap and the starters who were the ones who fought the other Entei, Charizard, Hattrem, Tinkatuff, and Kilowattrel must lend a hand. Liko and company will also need to use Terastol like they did against Kleavor and like they did not do with the other Entei. However, the preview shows no indication that either of these things will happen. It seems that only the same four that battled the other Entei will face Gouging Fire with no Terastol. Meaning that we can expect a similar result, which is to say that they won't win, but they will do just enough to have the battle end in a stalemate. Though this time they will of course earn Entei's, Gouging Fire's in this case, approval. At which point the battle ends with no clear outcome, which is to say no winner or loser. Though Liko and company will of course get what they want, which is to have Entei/Gouging Fire join them, meaning that technically they will win. The fact that Gouging Fire is not a pure fire type like Entei, but instead a fire and dragon type Pokemon, makes it even less likely that Liko and company will win, since Gouging Fire has a double resistance to fire and grass in place of Entei's single resistance to them, making Crocalor and Floragato even less effective, is neutral to water instead of weak to it like Entei, eroding Quaxwell's advantage, and it has a resistance to electric unlike Entei, making Cap less effective. It's also neutral to Fairy, eliminating Crocalor's usual advantage over Dragon's disarming voice. Stomping Tantrum remains super effective though, so perhaps it will be an ace up the sleeve once again, especially if Crocalor yet again fails to use it, which would power it up. In any case, a victory for Liko and company seems unlikely, even if they did defeat a champion between the two Entei. It's clear that they will once again get absolutely trashed, with Cap once again taking the brunt of it. Poor guy just can't catch a break, huh? But they cannot flat out lose either, since then they might not get Entei to join them. So again, a draw or no clear outcome, meaning the battle ends without a winner or a loser, but they prove their strength to Entei, which makes it approve of them, is what is most likely to happen. And I am not the only one that thinks this. Most of you agree that this is what will happen, which is unusual since every time I make polls like this, the majority stands with one side. The draw or no clear outcome possibility is always the second most voted option at best. I guess most of you realize that Liko and company are very unlikely to win, but they cannot lose either, because then they won't get Entei to join them, which cannot happen. At least I doubt it, seeing as they already failed to get Entei once, albeit not in the way any of us expected, thus prolonging their search and making it more difficult and less straightforward for them to recruit Entei. I don't see them failing again, especially after what they had to do to get to this point. Regardless of the outcome, this is sure to be an amazing and exciting episode, right? I mean, we're talking about Liko and company battling a Paradox Pokémon related to a legendary Pokémon. I want to believe that there's no way it won't be epic. Therefore, I absolutely cannot wait to watch the episode when it airs on January 24. As always, I will review it when it airs, so please stay tuned for that. Now, I'm sure you're eager to check out some more of my videos, so go ahead and click the links on screen. Also, if you enjoy what I do and want to help me keep creating content like this, please consider supporting me directly through one of the links in the description below. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.